We are on. So I want to welcome everybody today. I'm Lynn Allen Sion of the Orange County Chamber of Commerce, and our guest today is Melissa McCoy, Chief Advancement Officer for Abilities First and one of our board members and the chairperson of our advancement committee. So Melissa, thank you for being here today with us. I do have a few announcements to make. First is if you lose us out there in Facebook land, it's because there's a great, huge storm outside, and we may lose you, but we'll jump back on. Also, I do want to let everybody know that tomorrow at 10 o'clock, Josh Summers from Focus Media will be our breakfast speaker for our July breakfast, and that will be Facebook live streamed, and he will be speaking about marketing your business in difficult times as we are in now. We also have started a new program because of COVID. We see that a number of our members are having some difficulty with their dues because it's really hard right now, and they have to worry about inventory. There's other things that they have to worry about. So we have a number of people who have stepped up. We've started a new program. It's a membership scholarship program, and I do want to thank Josh Summers from Focus Media for being our first partnership. So Josh, thank you so much. Josh and Lisa, thank you so much for sponsoring one of our members so that they're able to continue as a chamber member and to be able to receive all of the benefits. So we hope to see everybody tomorrow. And right now we're going to talk with Melissa McCoy. It's a really interesting place where you are right now, Melissa, with Abilities First. So before we get into what's going on with Abilities First here in New York State with everything happening with COVID and closures, you could just share with us what Abilities First is.
Sure. Abilities First is a nonprofit organization that's been in existence in the Hudson Valley since 1962. It is a nonprofit 501c3 organization that's mission has always been focused on supporting of the needs of individuals with disabilities, primarily intellectual and developmental disabilities. And over the years, since 1962, we've certainly grown significantly to be serving individuals from birth through life, from early intervention, UPK, schools, preschools, adult programs, which is employment, residential services, day programs, rehabilitation, as well as ComHab, as well as various supportive needs that the individuals or families may have in the communities related to those aspects of the work we do.
So that's a very wide berth of services, a very wide array of services. So because of that, you fit into a whole bunch of things that are happening now with New York State. What does it look like for you folks right now, and your consumers and the children and the parents, with what's happening with COVID and the governor's mandates?
Yes, as you said, it is extremely varied. We have very young parents for our preschoolers in school age, as well as elderly parents well into their 90s who have, young 60 adult children, 70 adult children. And so those needs are extremely different. When things started to close down or go on pause in the community, our programs went from a full breadth of over 1,400 individuals being served every day, 365 because we have residential programs as well. Those programs still are fully functional and have been. Those are essential workers through all of this. But as we know, schools have closed, and things, as in the business world, change so rapidly that every day, every hour, we were shifting continually from either a different type of operating program or to a shutdown of a program. And then the way of tooling up and building the technology that was needed to be able to continue services. It's been very difficult for our families and the individuals that we support, regardless of the age, because of the change to their life and their lifestyle and what they go about. Regimen is very important for many of our folks, and they have amazing at their resilience through this, as our staff have been, to segue into ways of needing to support differently, from telehealth, long distance education. It's been very challenging, and we are continuing to shift again. We are in that, kind of limbo of where the governor indicated special education programs could open, but forth within 2 weeks of a time frame that was eligible, and then there weren't mandates and guidelines issued yet by special New York State Education. for those services. So we need to be responsible for what we do. We need to consult with our state health commissioners, our county health commissioners, and actually something just recently came out to families from the Orange County Commissioner on Health about what the position really they feel it should be as far as opening, which is to not open. We had to have a really difficult decision on being prepared properly and safeguarding our children, or to hold off until those protocols were in place. And that is the direction that we chose, as well as many other providers. And we need to continue to look forward because we want to be open. We are, as are our teachers, to get back to giving the direct one-on-one care to our students, and are looking to a hopeful September opening, as well as our other programs such as day programs, where those individuals are at their own home or in one of our homes, waiting to come back, see their peers. Social, just like all of us, social and skills can degrade and be lost over time. So we all want to get back to those interactions and those positive aspects of life.
And I would think that it must be very difficult for your team members, because people who do any kind of work in human services, it's not a job, it's a mission, it's a calling, it's part of who they are. So it must also be taking a toll on your team. So I really applaud you folks for continuing to push on and for all the work that you have done, because it's invaluable in the lives of your consumers and the parents. We partner with many, as you know, many of the not-for-profits that work with people with disabilities here in our region, and it's really it's very discouraging to see what's happening, because when you have kids over the summer, their educational levels degrade because they're not constantly being reinforced, and many times with people with disabilities that has to be like on a daily basis. So you wonder, how long is it going to take to catch up? But I'm sure that your team is up to it.
Yeah, we're surveying, we're speaking with our families. We completely empathize with where they are in trying to give their loved one the best that they can, in conjunction with our team of teaching staff. And going back to what you said, our teachers, it's very they're very distraught over seeing tele health or tele teaching, seeing the changes in some of the potential loss in their students. But they've also, excitingly enough, it's given some of those students opportunity to grow in other ways. And I've interviewed a number of our teachers and heard from them how there's some of the attention that they might not be able to have for 15 minutes in a classroom when other peers are around, to having that one-on-one. They've seen some real benefits to it too, which is wonderful to know.
That is great.
It is, and we're hoping that they'll continue to build on those skills. It's a balance between strengthening and potentially losing some focus. But so there's some skills that they've seen grow in our folks, which is what we're all about. It's just focusing on their abilities, and they themselves, as teachers and educators, have learned skills that they didn't have before. Doing all their teaching on Zoom, and one using a guitar, and the child singing a song about self-identification, and so they've really pulled out some incredible tools, and it's very heartwarming. And it's one of those things you get up, you're like, oh, I know why I do what I do because of what they're doing. And they are our heroes. They are essential workers, though they, as well as all of their industry peers around the area, have not always gotten the attention that many of our other valued heroes have. And sometimes people forget about that preschool teacher, that teacher, and what they've stepped up to during this time. So we're really appreciative for all that they've continued to do, and their task, it will be excessively difficult as we move forward and do open our schools, just as our direct support providers have through all of this, day to day, going in with full PPE in environments to protect themselves, as well as their family members and the individuals in our group homes through the last months, and will continue. We've been very fortunate to have been able to care well and keep our folks healthy, and just it's an a day-to-day, and it's a 7-day-a-week process now, more, with the attention that we've needed to have in monitoring our environment. Where typically before management would monitor the activities and the food that was being, but now those folks are home 24/7 versus going to day programs or employment in many instances.
You had mentioned that you have residences. Your residences are still open, or are they closed?
All of our residences, we have never closed. We've been supporting Fund a Feast so that a meal could be catered and delivered to each of our homes to give the staff a little bit of a break from cooking all their meals, which they were not typically doing other than on a weekend. But all of our group homes, our supportive apartments, all of those have been functioning 24/7. And that was a difficult process as well for families, the individuals, and staff. We had to make the decision to protect those individuals, not from seeing their loved ones, but from just what potentially could walk in the door.
Sure.
And it was you're either in or out. And it sounds rather harsh, but you were either in and protected, or you needed to be protected in your own family's home. And we had a combination of families that made certain choices. But in the long run, the choices that we made to protect them, and now we're able to do some social distancing on site, are the stepping stones to getting back to normal for families to be able to be together. Because it's been very difficult for our families, who used to see someone or bring them home every weekend.
Sure.
And,
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
it was heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. I mean, even with with COVID, my two of my children are in New York City, so they see themselves as almost like irradiated at this point with the virus. So they have been very careful about coming up here. But I still have the option of seeing them. My mother, I don't, because she's in an assisted living facility, but it's still different. It's not your child. So I can't even imagine not being able to see my child.
Yeah, and a lot of these family members are in their 90s, and they have adult children in their 60s, 70s. One wants to see the other, and then there's those that can understand, I can't go, but there's many that don't understand why they can't go, meaning our individuals. And so our staff has done an exceptional job of keeping activities and lots of things going on to keep their interests, and in some instances needing to keep them isolated or quarantined in a room when someone's health was questionable. And then those were challenging times as well. So our staff has just been incredible. Our teaching staff has really stepped up to the board, and we want to get back to our mission, being fully staffed, fully functional in all of our programs. And we don't know when that camp will be, and we didn't know hour by hour how things would change. And we finally got to probably about a month ago, a little bit of we're in a stable spot, but we're always turning around now, looking forward of where we're going to go.
And that's really much where New York is. We're kind of stabilized now. Today the governor said that malls who meet the air conditioning requirements for their HVAC can open on Friday. So we're starting to see a lot of things opening, but there's still the social distancing. There's still the masks that need to be used. One thing before we close that I do want to speak to you about is, aside from all of the changes that you have had to do programmatically, all of the not-for-profits in New York State are now facing budgetary cuts because there's always been a lot of back and forth about units of service and what the rates are and all of that. But now, because we already had a deficit going into the budget hearings, and then there was COVID, so now we're seeing a much bigger deficit in New York State. So the issue, though, is that your services have to continue. So the services that you provide have to continue. So what are some of the things that you do to be able to meet those budget deficits and those gaps that you have from the state?
Sure. So some of the most immediate at home is fundraising that most nonprofits rely on greatly for their community support, whether that's in kind or financial resources. But we need to maintain those relationships with our community partners, whether it be HVEDC. I have monthly calls or email communication with our elected official offices. Just had this conversation that you're asking me about yesterday with Senator Schumer's staff on what's happening, what do you need from us, what's the and we need to be an advocate for. So we can reach out and use our social media to get families and community partners to be a voice to help be substantial behind some of the needs. And so, yeah, oh, there's some big booms going on. Hopefully we don't cut out. But that outreach is critical. And as I said, there's some new bill. There's a bill that just passed that will be going to the Senate. And those are some things that they want to know. What is it we need? And that's a place for us to be an advocate, because is a relationship to funding. Going to the budgetary aspect, New York State's budget, as we all pretty much know, is in the position it was in. And before the pandemic began, there was an indication of budget cuts. And that's still coming forward to us. And there's, we have a long conversation that still needs to be had about rate setting, and how different agencies are set different rates, and how we need this to be fair for the people that we serve. We have been successful and will continue to segue where we need to adjust our infrastructure to make sure the mission can serve the people that are here. But we also need to be an advocate so that it's fairly and equitably distributed to organizations across the region and across the state based on the service level, as well as the type of individuals that are being cared for, and the staffing that's expected. If we have to have so many people, so much time, so much transportation, there's a fixed cost to that, and we need to be equitably reimbursed for that. We can find the needs, and that's where community comes in. So it's a good conversation for us to have of why those fundraising needs are so critical for human service and other nonprofits.
And if somebody out there wants to know more about Abilities First, wants to look at your donations, possibly wants to donate, how would they get in touch with you?
The website is usually the quickest, www.abilitiesfirstny.org. They can always reach out to me directly as well at Melissa McCoy at abilitiesfirstny.org. But I think the website, as well as our social media, is, can kind of outline a number of ways that people can get involved, from volunteering, leadership, financial support, certainly, and community partners, even businesses that are opening their doors and providing meaningful employment for our adults who are looking for some opportunity to stay active and learn some new skills out in the community.
Wonderful. Well, Melissa, we're out of time. I want to thank you very much for, first, your service on the board. We really appreciate that, and for all the assistance that you give us with our development committee. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your day. I know that you're really, really busy. There's a lot that goes on at Abilities First, and I know that you have your hand in a lot of places in Orange County and Dutchess County. So I really appreciate you taking the time today. If you can just repeat your website one more time.
Sure, www.abilitiesfirstny.org. And thank you for having me, Lynn. I appreciate your mission.
Thank you very much. And then for everybody that's out there, don't forget tomorrow at 10 o'clock, Josh Summers will be speaking to our business community. It'll be live, Facebook Live at 10 o'clock about marketing your business in these uncertain times, because marketing has changed. We all have to we have to change. We have to pivot, as we know on Friends, get the changes going, get that couch up the stairs in a new and different way. The old ways don't always apply right now. So we hope to see you tomorrow at 10. Melissa, thank you again. And we'll see you tomorrow, Orange County. Be safe. Stay dry.
Thank you.